Right now at 5, unemployment emergency. Millions of Illinoisans out of work and strapped for cash, trying desperately to get benefits from a broken system. NBC5 Responds has one mother's story.
Reopening Chicago, the mayor lays out her plans to get the city back to normal, what it means for the city's struggling restaurant industry.
And the sun is shining, but it's unseasonably cold out there. Will it warm up in time for Mother's Day? Sure hope so. Brant Miller has the answer. NBC5 News at 5 starts now.
Good evening. I'm Michelle Rutherford in for Allison Rosati.
And I'm Rob Stafford. Our top story, the devastating jobs report today. Some 33 million Americans are out of work, numbers not seen since the Great Depression. Here in Illinois, Governor Pritzker says help is on the way. 100 new agents starting on Monday to help the overwhelmed unemployment benefits system. But will it be enough? Our NBC5 Responds hotline is also overwhelmed with the stories of anger, fear, and resentment from residents who say the state's system is failing them. With more, here's Lisa Parker.
The jobs report today tells the cold, hard data of this crisis. The stories submitted to us put a human face on it. People asking for help with a state system they say makes them feel invisible. Search the word and unemployment benefit complaints number in the thousands in our NBC Responds database, in English and Spanish. Misery from across the country. Here in Illinois, one of those voices is Nikki Martinez, who told us she called the Illinois Department of Employment Security
at least 300 times.
Never an answer. And online,
4 to 5 hours every day.
All the while at her house.
There was lots of crying. There was lots of screaming.
Juggling the needs of her 3 kids in 3 grades, while also battling IDES, sometimes for hours.
Trying to call IDES, that was a whole day for me. And it was very frustrating for the kids, too, because they felt my pressure.
The futility of her attempts.
I imagine it as a gumball machine with hundreds and hundreds of gumballs all trying to get through this small little hole. You know, it's almost impossible to do it.
No surprise to Andrew Stetner, a senior fellow at the Century Foundation, who's studied the troubled unemployment infrastructure nationwide.
We still have a majority of states that are using 1980s technology.
He says Illinois, despite its mountain of complaints, sits in the middle of the pack. Indiana, less so. Both have modernized somewhat.
But that's not a silver bullet, right? You have to have good software, keep it updated, and have really good leadership.
Stetner says states need to think out of the box, reach out to the tech sector and automate a job now too big for the old way of doing things.
I don't envy anyone the position of running an agency like IDES or any unemployment agency today.
Back in Orland Park, one last creative attempt.
But I'm like, you know what, I spent the majority of my life here under my maiden name. So I'm like, I'm just going to try one more time.
Appears to have worked after 7 long weeks of trying. And we will follow along with Nikki as she goes. One silver lining here, states cannot run out of money to pay these benefits. That is federally mandated. Of course, claimants must first get through in order to get paid. Lisa Parker, NBC5 Responds.
So many people affected. Our thanks to Lisa. Chicago Mayor Lorraine Lightfoot unveils the city's plan to reopen businesses, and restaurants are watching very carefully. The mayor's plan varies slightly from the governor's and still has no specific timeline. Political reporter Marianne Ahern has the details from the Control Center. Marianne?
Good afternoon, Rob. Mayor Lightfoot, like the governor, has a 5-phase plan. She has a slightly different criteria for what it will take to move to the next phase and allow for more people to go back to work and open restaurants. Mayor Lightfoot announces a 5-phase plan for the city to reopen, more general guidelines with no dates tied to it. To move to the next phase, the city is separating the population as it examines positivity rate from those who are in congregate settings like nursing homes at 30% positivity rate to the general public's positivity rate could be 15%.
We need to be able to say yes. Are the cases going down? Yes. Can our hospitals handle the number of people who are seriously ill with COVID-19? Yes.
The city is also looking at the declining rate of new cases over 14 days, stable or declining hospitalizations, and testing percent of Chicagoans each month. Might the city open its parks, trails, and lakefront by limiting hours or activities?
I've got to be confident that we can open up those larger venues, the lakefront, the 606, and other interior trails, in a way that still allows us to maintain social distancing.
When it comes to restaurants with thousands of people out of work, they are certainly anxious to reopen.
We get health and sanitation in a restaurant. We're a very regulated business, so we don't want to put anyone at our rate, but we do are concerned about our restaurants. That's why at the federal level, we think that the next CARES Act, phase 4, we need federal dollars there for just restaurants alone, like they did for the airlines, like they did for the banks, like they did for the auto industry.
The city is looking for public comment and has posted a survey on the city's website asking for input from residents about the reopening. From the Control Center, Marianne Ahern, back to you, Rob.
And Marianne, Governor Pritzker was also asked about the pushback from the restaurant industry. He is adamant they will have to wait until phase 4 of his reopening plan, even if they promise to limit customers to 25% capacity.
Because it's very difficult to socially distance as between a server and the food, the server, the food, and delivery of the food to the table. It's also difficult even to seat people at tables the way they're normally configured.
The governor also reacted to Mayor Lightfoot's plan, admitting there are differences, but says it's a good plan that fits within the Restore Illinois plan.
Sadly, today, Illinois has lost 130 more lives to the coronavirus. This graphic shows our daily totals. You can see deaths remain high day to day. We hope to see the numbers begin to level off and eventually drop. Illinois also confirmed another 2,800 new cases. Indiana hopes to greatly increase testing next week. It's opening 30 new testing sites. Today, the state confirmed 675 new cases. Governor Holcomb says more testing will help the state as it makes decisions moving forward.
We look at all data comes into us. We pour through it all, and then we look at what's happening on the ground in the state of Indiana, and that's what we react to.
Today, we also learned another 33 more Hoosiers have died.
A Chicago mother says she and her family were terrified when police pulled a gun on their car.
We letting them know there's minors in the car. All of these are minors.
A bystander got this video of police drawing their weapons. 3 children were in the car at the time. Chicago police say they pulled over the vehicle because the plates fit the description of a car with 3 women who pointed a gun at somebody. The driver, Jahaira Ruiz, says there was no weapon in her vehicle.
A gun, and they're screaming. And when I turn to look in the back, I see the gun pointed clearly at my 8-year-old and 7-year-old.
Ruiz is submitting a complaint to the Civilian Office of Police Accountability.
The Chicago Teachers Union says its members are still adjusting to remote learning for Chicago's schools. Today, officers held a virtual roundtable discussion on Zoom and shared their concerns.
Obviously, there's been some really tough spots there. The stuff around special education or remote, related service providers, how that works through remote learning, those things have been hard.
Other concerns, classroom size, sanitation, and safety for teachers and students.
Here's a quick look at the weather right now as we head into Mother's Day weekend with Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brant Miller. Brant?
And Rob and Michelle, this blue color, I love the color, but it indicates that we've got a freeze warning, meaning that a freeze is imminent overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, and that's our entire viewing area. 42 at O'Hare, 44 in some of the western suburbs. We got to the middle 40s today. It's not going to stay there. Look where the temperatures are headed overnight tonight. We'll get close to freezing in the city. I'm with 30 at O'Hare. Will warm up tomorrow, but that frost and freeze is a possibility overnight tonight. If you've got plants, take them inside, cover them outdoors. It does warm up tomorrow. What's the story on Mother's Day? Details coming up.
All right. Thanks, Brant.
All right, well, Brant laying out some great weather to stay inside. How about inside your car? That's exactly what's going on at the McHenry Outdoor Theater.
They're opening tonight with some family-friendly movies, and people are eager to get a break from the pandemic stress. NBC5's Regina Waldrop is live in McHenry with how the drive-in theater is planning to provide fun while still keeping people at a safe distance. Regina?
So, Rob and Michelle, gates weren't supposed to open until 6:30, but they decided to start letting folks in early. That's because when I showed up here at 2 o'clock, already a long line of vehicles. So the cap tonight, 350 cars will be let in, and the owner says he expects to reach that cap pretty fast. Shuttered for weeks because of the pandemic, but back in business tonight.
Feel great.
Yeah.
I know the kid is excited. This is his first time at a drive-in theater, so ain't that right, Billy?
Yeah, sure.
So we're all comfied up, and it'd be nice to be in our comfy car and enjoy a good classic movie.
The McHenry Outdoor Theater's been preparing for this day. Even though drive-ins do provide some built-in social distancing, the theater's only allowing 350 vehicles inside instead of the usual 750 to give moviegoers a little more room. Other changes folks will notice: a stay-in-your-vehicle rule, and it will be enforced. And if you sit in the bed of your truck or the back of a vehicle with the hatch open, you must wear a face mask. You also must wear a mask if you go to the bathroom. Every other stall will be closed. Concession stands are also closed, but snack carts will be available, and no pets allowed.
I think definitely changes are needed to how things have been going, and if this is how we have to be for a little while, that's fine.
Someone was here at 11 this morning. Yeah, I have a picture of the car. They were so. I know people really want to be outside, and they're looking for anything to do besides stare at the walls in their house. So this is a great opportunity to have an escape and do it responsibly.
So today we're going to take you back to the 90s. We're talking Flintstones, Jurassic Park, free admission, all paid for by the Ray Auto Group. They wanted to spread some kindness, some cheerness to the community during this time. Nothing like a drive-in, and yes, I brought my own popcorn. Back to you guys.
Brings back some great memories for a lot of us. Thanks, Regina.
All right, well, still ahead, what a new study says about the possibility of a pandemic baby boom.
Plus, just in time for Mother's Day, some special meals for special women battling on the front lines of the pandemic.
It's a meal marathon for mothers on the go.
How a local chef is making a difference.
And everyone's stuck at home. If you've got a green thumb, now is your time to shine. We'll have a look at your options for starting a quarantine garden. Then coming up on our news at 6, an update on a possible new lead on a decades-old murder mystery. Is a man in custody being linked to the death of Tammy Zawicki? Hear what investigators revealed today.
A West Side chef is making a difference, delivering meals to frontline mothers who have to work this Mother's Day weekend. NBC5's Leanne Trotter has their story.
Chef Polly Coleman is on a mission to make a difference in the lives of working mothers. Today, she is dropping off meals at West Suburban Medical Center in Oak Park and McNeil Hospital in Berwyn.
Each year I do Mother's Day in honor of my mother. My mother passed away 10 years ago, and when my mother passed, she told me to do what makes me happy.
Chef Polly spent almost 30 years as an accountant. But when her mother died in 2009, she quit her job to follow her passion.
My meals are called Meals of Love because I'm very passionate about my cooking. So I just want to share my love of culinary with the frontline workers.
Last year, she opened her own business called Chefs on the Go-Go. Thanks to a $13,000 grant from Westside United, she was able to rent kitchen space at the Hatchery, a food and beverage incubator for startups.
With that $13,000, we purchased my truck and we purchased a whole lot of different equipment because when we started Chefs on the Go-Go, we didn't have nothing.
Despite a lag in business due to the coronavirus pandemic, Chef Polly is determined to give back to first responder mothers on the job this weekend.
She has a good heart, and she has a strong heart and a strong will and a strong passion for what she does, and so that's what's going to take her a long way.
Reporting from Garfield Park, Leanne Trotter, NBC5 News.
Really nice. All right, well, could a coronavirus baby boom be on the way? A new study says no. Researchers in Italy surveyed close to 1,500 people. Over 80% said they had no plans to have a baby. A third wanted to get pregnant before the pandemic, but have since abandoned those plans. Most said the coronavirus discouraged them because they are worried about their financial future.
Farmers say if you like fruits and vegetables, the stay-at-home order is a perfect excuse to start a garden. They say now is a great time to get plants in the ground, whether you are using seeds or clippings from lettuce to grow your own, and the options are limitless.
You know, if you don't like tomatoes, don't grow tomatoes. If you love lettuces, grow more lettuces.
I like lettuce and tomatoes. Gardens are not only good for your diet, they're also good for the environment as well.
All right. Well, today may not be the day to get out in those gardens, or tonight.
No.
I don't know. Maybe this weekend would be better.
Looks like a lot of blue behind Mr. Miller there. Blue stands for cold,
No. Do not set any plants out, especially tonight, because we have a freeze warning. That's what that blue color is. It encompasses our entire viewing area. If you've got sensitive plants, cover them tonight, because we'll hit freezing, even some upper 20s possible inland. Look at these numbers. Only 42 at O'Hare, 42 at Midway. We struggled to the middle 40s today. The average for the state, 67, nowhere near that. And here's what to expect overnight tonight. Keep in mind this is model guidance. With clear skies, heat radiates from the atmosphere and it cools from below. And we could wind up seeing some of those numbers in the 20s in the suburbs. So do not put any delicate plants out, and make sure if you have already that they're covered. It gets warmer tomorrow. Temperatures recover into the 50s, still about 10 degrees cooler than where we should be. You might struggle to see a 60 in the far southwest counties out toward LaSalle County. Here's what happened today. We didn't get any significant moisture out of this, although Pete Sack reported to me from just across the Wisconsin state line he saw a flurry this morning. So there you go. We did have some frozen moisture. There's 8 o'clock in the evening. Cloud cover still hanging around. The model guide's a little more bullish on showing some moisture. Now, what's the story on Mother's Day? Tomorrow, plenty of sunshine. Cloud cover will start to increase as we get to the latter part of the day. There's the next weather maker. You can see the center of circulation up there by the Twin Cities. That is working toward us for Sunday. 2 o'clock in the morning, we'll start to see a few showers, probably reaching the surface by 6 o'clock in the morning. Cloud cover sticks around, and no hope for any significant sunshine. Here's the dry center of the storm coming at us right here around noon. Then we get into the backside where the upper low is, and you see that bluish, pinkish color, saying there's some frozen moisture aloft. That's going to guarantee temperatures stay only in the 50s. That rain is with us until 10 o'clock at night and perhaps midnight before it starts to clear out. So not the beautiful Mother's Day that we would wish. Clear, freeze warning, 30 tonight. Keep your plants covered. Mostly sunny, 57 tomorrow. That rain should come in overnight, more likely into Sunday morning. Let's go through the next 7 days, what to expect. Does it get warmer? That's the big question. Not on Monday. Monday, expect temperatures only in the lower 50s, 58. As we get to the middle part of the week, by Thursday, we're into the 60s again. It looks like rain, even a chance of thunderstorms Wednesday into Thursday. Now, this is a great time to review that safety plan that we talk about so much. Know where your safe place is when we start to see thunderstorms and warmer temperatures. Strong interior room, like the center of the basement. If you don't have a basement, first floor, an interior room like a bathroom away from windows. As crazy as it sounds, one of the safest places in severe weather is just climb in the bathtub, pull a comforter or a blanket over your head and wait it out with the storm, and make sure you have our app. On that, you can get warnings and live Doppler 5. So think safety when we start to see thunderstorms toward the middle part of the week and into, looks like next Monday. More of the forecast coming up at 6 o'clock.
Great reminders, and I'll be bundled up covering plants late tonight. Yes.
Ready for Mother's Day on Sunday.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Brant.
We have more on today's top stories coming up next.
But first, we want to say thank you to all of those working hard to keep essential businesses running.
It feels like an eternity ago, but when the pandemic caused the NBA to shut its doors, the Bulls had just snapped a 3-game losing streak by beating the lowly Cleveland Cavaliers 108-103. Their record was 22-43 on the season, and the team was heading nowhere fast. Since then, of course, tons has changed. The team has an entirely new front office led by new Executive VP of Basketball Operations Arturas Karnisovas and GM Mark Eversley. And today comes a report out of the Sun-Times that those two men have met with multiple key players who have ripped at times unorthodox head coach Jim Boylan. Boylan and the players have been advised not to comment publicly on the situation. As part of NASCAR's revised season race schedule, the 2020 NASCAR race weekend at Chicagoland Speedway, originally scheduled for June 18th through the 21st, has been canceled. If you've already purchased tickets for the weekend, you can head to chicagolandspeedway.com/assistance for help. All right, I think it's safe to say that millions of sports fans and even some non-sports fans have been captivated by the Last Dance docuseries chronicling Michael Jordan's rise and the Bulls dynasty. That includes his 3 children with first wife Juanita. This morning on Chicago Today, here on NBC5, of course, our friends caught up with MJ's oldest daughter, Jasmine, who had this to say about the man we call the GOAT and she calls Dad.
I get it. I get why you made the sacrifices you made and got the, the perception that you had, because this is who you had to be to get where you are today. So to actually see what was happening around me, it's been super exciting. But it's really been eye-opening to actually see like that dog in him and that grit and that hustle and why he had to be how he was.
If you missed it this morning, you can catch the full when Chicago Today is re-aired this Sunday night at 10:35 p.m., of course, here on NBC5. If you can stay up, set your DVRs. It's got to be weird having Michael Jordan as your dad, let alone being able to watch him for 10 hours in a documentary with everybody else.
Yeah, we can't get enough of it.
Weird. How about awesome?
Yeah. Comes in handy every now and then.
That too.
I wouldn't mind trying it out.
Yeah. Thanks, Yama.
All right. Well, we will be right back with a look at the top stories we are following right now.
First, here's Lester Holt with a look at what's coming up on NBC Nightly News.
Ahead for us, growing concern as word surfaces of another White House insider testing positive for coronavirus. Also breaking down those breathtaking unemployment numbers and who wasn't included when we see you back here tonight.
Mayor Lightfoot has announced her 5-phase plan to reopen Chicago.
Those developments lead our top stories tonight. There are no specific dates tied to the approach, which is based on hospital data and the infection rate. The next step will be phase 3, which allows for the return of some non-essential workers, the reopening of select businesses and social gatherings up to 10 people.
The numbers are still high. Illinois lost 130 more lives to the coronavirus. This graphic shows deaths remain high day to day. Illinois also confirmed another 2,800 new cases.
Another crisis emerging from the pandemic is alcoholism. We already know alcohol sales have soared since the stay-at-home orders began. The Gateway Foundation says people under immense stress and without much to do are turning to alcohol as an outlet.
As small businesses struggle right now, you're encouraged to shop local this Mother's Day. One option owners hope you check out is the Love Local, Love Lakeview campaign. They say if shoppers want small business options in the future, now is the time to support your local favorites.
All right, back to weather, getting a quick check on the big chill, Brant.
It is a chilly night ahead. With clear skies, we'll see temperatures dropping off into the 30s. A freeze warning. Now, in the immediate city, we'll get close to 32, but as you get out in the western suburbs, we may even see some upper 20s. I went for around 30 at O'Hare overnight tonight, so cover your plants. More on the forecast at 6.
Got it. Thanks, Brant.
Well, straight ahead on NBC Nightly News, supercomputers and the coronavirus, how Microsoft is delving into the language of antibody-producing blood cells.
Also coming up, the staggering jobless report released today, a deep dive into the areas and industries hit the hardest. NBC